It's good to see men on a Friday night. I know you have had a busy day, and so if I see you doze, I will understand. But try not to doze. I know it's a struggle, especially this week, because we had a fewer number of days in the week. People have a lot of work. What makes me qualified to talk to men? Because I'm a man. And I've been a man since 1952. So those are how many years? Just over 70 years, obviously. And so I don't know how to be a woman, but I can talk about being a man. I was a boy, grew up in the 1950s. I can tell you about Mau Maus. I can tell you about the Johnnies. These were young British soldiers who were harassing us. I know that in the 1950s as I grew older. I can tell you about the Day of Independence. By the time we got independence, I was already counting my years in double digits. And I can talk about what my expectations was as a boy. I can also talk about, since I lived with a grandfather who was born 18-something, and he died in 1980, so he was well over 100 by the time he died. I had stories about Africa before, the African man before the white man came. So I can talk a bit of that. But my interest tonight is a Christian man. What does it mean to be a Christian man? Of course, it's a wide subject, but I will spend maybe about 45 minutes just trying to deal with this, but send me the question to clarify. Since there are many ways of approaching this subject, I will just pick an aspect. That is man as a priest. You are many things inside the same body, but we are talking about man as a priest. And I hope somebody will be projecting my notes so that they are not confidential. Whatever I'm looking at, you can also see on the screen. I quote Tim Keller, the late Tim Keller. He just died last month. I would really encourage you to read anything you can get on Tim Keller. He said, and I quote, "Think like a prophet," talking to us. "Think like a prophet. Serve like a priest, but plan like a king." Several things we are learning from his statement by Keller. Number one, that you as a man are a prophet. And you must think like a prophet. What does that mean? Be proactive. As a man, you must be proactive. When your children are just thinking about a bicycle and eating your sausages, you are seeing that child in the university and asking yourself, will I be able to pay their school fees? You are thinking like a prophet. At the same time, as a man, you think as a priest. You serve as a priest. You think a prophet means you are thinking ahead. You serve like a priest means you are serving on behalf of God. A priest is a person who goes to God on behalf of the people and goes to the people on behalf of God. And so you must serve others like a priest. So you always ask yourself, since I'm serving on behalf of God, how should I be serving? What would God want me to do? You serve as a priest. But then you must plan like a king, somebody who is ruling and in control. I could summarize this into 4 P's. Men are 4 P's. If you're a man, you have 4 P's. P number 1, you are a priest. P number 2, you are a provider. Whatever you want to think, what's the role of a man? What is a Christian man? You have a P, you are a priest, and that's the most important, and that's what I'll deal with today. But number 2, you're also a provider. You need to come out very clear. There is something wrong with men today who sit at home watching the TV, and the wife is the one who brings the bacon. Have you heard of such men? Now you need to understand that's not really a Christian man. a Christian man provides for his family. I don't want to go deep into the subject because maybe at another time we can deal with the subject. How do you handle an empowered woman? A woman earning more than you. Now, you need to understand there are now many. Am I right? Men, am I right? So that our challenges as men are very different from the challenges of my grandfather. Because the grandfather owned everything, he had everything. Now you have wives that earn more than men. And the reaction of some men, since you're earning more, I'll do nothing. That contradicts biblical values. A man must earn and provide for his wife and children. But since I've just started this subject, maybe I should go a little more into it. We are still talking about you serving as a priest, and you are therefore being a provider. The first thing you must understand then is the scriptures are clear. You do not eat unless you work. What that means is that if you're a man and what you are eating is being provided by your wife, and you are enjoying eating it, you contradict the Bible. You know, the same Bible that says thou shalt not commit adultery also says thou shalt not work, thou shalt not eat if you don't work. So any man who actually enjoys what has been worked for by the wife and does nothing is as guilty as the one who commits adultery. I know you are looking at me in strange eyes, but that's the scripture. The commander on adultery is the same commander on work. So I keep imagining, I've been locked up in a police cell, and I know when people are in a cell, they ask each other, where uko hapa kwa nini? Why are you here? And the other one, why are you here? People ask each other, I've been locked up. So I imagine people in hell will be asking each other, why are you here? And one will say, me, I don't complain. God was right. I slept with so many women. I was a professional adulterer. And you? I ate without working. Now, it will be the same hell, same temperature, because the same hell. But this guy simply ate without working. So if you are going to be the priest of your house, you have said you must serve as a priest means you must think, what does God want with me? And one of the things he wants is for you to provide. And that's an important thing that you need to understand. The P of man is a provider. Again, let me just touch this, not fully, but it's a major subject we need to deal with. How do you handle an empowered woman? The other day I was invited by Sitam Kitengera, and that's the topic they gave me. I had not dealt with the topic before. And I thought, wow, how the world is changing. That we can be talking about how do you handle the empowered wife. And people are empowered by many things. You went to the same campus earlier, like when I was in university in 1970s, I was the chairman of the University Christian Union 1975. In our time, we are not asked which university because there was only one in Kenya. So when I was in the university, we had about 13 halls for men, only one for women. Can you see the ratio? So you rarely married a graduate. And these days, you have 3 degrees and you have only 1. Now, you need to understand things have totally changed. So when you talk about the empowered woman, she may be empowered because she read more books than you. Am I right? But there's another reason why they're empowered. The affirmative action. Where, if you get jobs on the same day with your wife, in the same organization, she is likely to get a promotion before you. Why? The one that rule. All bosses are men. So they're not looking for another man. You don't have to obey the one that rule. They're looking for a woman. So my brother, you may be working harder than your wife, but your wife will still get the promotion. Am I right? Yeah, and that is something that's very important. But thirdly, and this is unfortunate, men seem to concentrate where men don't. Women seem to concentrate where men, we seem to have too many things that take our attention away from working professionally. So sometimes the woman simply gets promoted because her productivity is higher than yours. But in the end, we are dealing with the empowered woman. The other day I was in a marriage seminar. It was there for several days. In one of the afternoons, a young lady came to me and said, Mr. Nganga, I just want to ask you something. And she kind of did not want others to hear, so she put me aside. I just wanted you to know, in this marriage conference, most of us women earn more than men. And it is creating havoc in our homes. Please mention something about it. So you can see, some women are in real trouble because of being empowered. You hold her responsible for being promoted. You have a quarrel with her because she was promoted. Was she supposed to refuse the promotion? But a lot of men are insecure. So insecure that when the wife starts being promoted, even if the wife says, please pass that plate to me, just because you are promoted. Now, what has the plate and promotion to do with each other? But a lot of homes have havoc because of insecure men. If you are one of them, that's why the Lord sent me here. You need to sort out your insecurity. Do not destroy your marriage just because your wife is empowered. So the first problem in those marriages has nothing to do with women. It's insecure men. And my friend, let me tell you, I still do consultancy work, so I'm still dealing with. So from the 1970s when I left university to now, it's close to 50 years. I've been working somewhere, dealing with bosses. Even in consultancy, you are dealing with the one who has given you a contract. The hardest place to work is to work with an insecure boss. Would you agree with me? You do well, he thinks you are after his job. You do badly, he thinks you want to sabotage him. It doesn't matter how you work. Please accept my sympathy. But can you imagine you may be that boss where your wife is in trouble just because she is outperforming you? Man as a priest, serving as a priest, means that you are happy to help people to know God. You are happy to help people to realize their full potential. So when your wife goes places, you are very happy that she is doing well. You have to be a priest to behave like that. Would you agree with me? Because the priest sits in a place and the people he is helping get richer and richer. That's why some people who are supposed to be priests run away from priesthood because it's not making money. But to be a priest means you do not mind your children be doing better than, and you are the one who actually facilitated them to do better than you because you are the man of the house. As a priest, you need to understand one of your big responsibilities is to assist your wife and the children to realize their God-given potential. And if it is higher than you, so be it. You are proud that you help them to be where they are. You know, if you are an insecure person, you are the kind of a person you live together, you live university together with your wife, you start doing an MBA, even doing a second master's, you are even still with the first degree. Why? No. Who will be left with the children? Please understand, I've written another book called A Leader as a Steward. And in that book, I tell people, your wife is a stewardship subject. It means God allocated you a woman to steward her on behalf of God. Am I communicating? So, and if you are a steward, there's the day of accountability. When you report back to the owner, your wife does not belong to you. Your wife belongs to God, but she is allocated to you. So if you understand, if you are a priest, one day you have to answer. I gave you this woman at the age of 26. Now she is 56. Those are how many years? 30 years. How has she improved because she married you? Some women actually become retarded because they married you. You are keeping improving and you don't want. The other day my wife was speaking in a church. I won't tell you which one, in case I'm talking about your grandmother. But she was in a meeting talking, and people asking questions. During break time, an old woman in her 70s or 80s went and whispered and says, I want to ask a question. And just looking, don't look that direction. I said, why? My husband might see me talking to you. These are old people in their 80s. I said, what's the problem, Mama? He believes I don't know how to talk, that I'll embarrass him if I ask a question. If I ask a question in this meeting, there'll be trouble at home. So please handle it personally. Don't mention me. When they started talking, it turned out this was a civil servant. Somebody who has worked in industry. Then their children went abroad. So she said, last month I was in Australia. Last year I visited the one in Holland, in Helsinki. This is a woman traveling the world. But the husband looks at her like somebody who cannot think. Since he knows the truth, most likely he is trying to beat competition. Would you agree with my thinking? Do you know that woman is suffering? Can you imagine being where you can't talk? You're a thinker, but you're not allowed to think. And you think, and of course both of them are born again. You think one day that Muse will not answer for destroying intellectually that woman. Can you see what I'm talking about? So we came to talk about man as a priest. There's no you'll be a priest in as long as you are insecure and you do not want people to do better than you. It's very, very, very important. Now, but I'm on the issue of being a provider. It will be important that you understand it's your responsibility to provide. However, when you get married in a Christian marriage, I've written a book called Marriage, Christian or Traditional. Unfortunately, many saved people don't have a Christian marriage. They have a traditional marriage. They behave exactly like their grandfather, except the number of years. Because their philosophy of life, their philosophy of marriage is traditional. If you're interested in that, you can get my book as I compare the two philosophies. But in a Christian marriage, the two shall become one. What that means, when you budget together, you own everything together, you pray to God, given our children the way they are growing, we need more money to take them to university. Give us money. Then God makes a mistake of answering your prayer through your wife's promotion. And you say, God, that's not, I wanted money, but not through that route. Now, who is God between you and Jehovah? Who is God? You must be God. Because you want to order God as to how he will provide. So you prayed for provision. But God has chosen to provide it through your wife. Am I communicating? So you need to understand that if God chooses to provide through your wife, you must rejoice with her. That's how to be a priest. Your rejoicing will help her to even go higher. That way your family keeps getting more money. So the issue of being a provider does not mean providing more than your husband, than your wife. Remember, the Bible tells us the wife came as a helper. Am I right? And sometimes the helper does more work than the owner of the work. Does that happen? So if God decides your wife will provide more, there's nothing wrong with it. The only issue is, are you providing at all? Our problem is not on providing more. Are you providing at all? When there is food on the table, can you see your input? My friend, if you have not been working and your wife brings a ugali to the table and you look at that food, you are hungry, you want to eat it, then you realize today I have been just lazy. Then remember the commandment. If you don't work, just look at that food and say, darling, I want to go to heaven. Today I'm not eating. Why? I never worked. Because how can you eat? Remember, your wife is ready to give you the food. Your wife is not the problem. It's between you and God. And God is saying, if you don't work, don't eat. So I wanted you to understand, man as a priest does not mean you provide more than your wife. It means you provide. That means, given the money you produce, you can only have a house in Umoja. But because the wife has gotten more, now you are combining money, you are able to move to Buruburu. You don't refuse to move to Buruburu because your salary is from Umoja. You are not operating on one salary. There are two salaries. Am I right? God wants you to move to Buruburu, but he has used the wrong route. Am I communicating? So it will be important to understand. So that's what we are talking about, providers. But then man is also a protector. If I could go on this style, I'll take too long. A protector means God gave us heavy muscles. Do you know up to now, in the Olympic, men are not allowed to compete with women? Am I right? And they even test that hormone is called to find out whether you are a real man or a real. There's a guy in South Africa who is more hormones like a man. Remember, he was stopped from running. Now, that tells you the scientists agree with God. The woman is a weaker vessel. You are the stronger one. And it's not a very wise woman who tries to find out because she may be dead. But that's a subject for another day. God has made us stronger so that we become the protectors. And you need to ask yourself, are you really a protector? Are you the one who thinks about what is safe and what is not safe? Are you the one who can take risks on behalf of your family? Or you tell your wife, go and find out whether the thief is there. Now, it's important to understand a Christian man is a protector of his family. You are the one who thinks in terms of, do you have an insurance policy? They say, no, we don't need one. You are the protector. So you do not want to hear that there is a sickness and you cannot take your children to hospital because you don't have a medical cover. Am I right? Because you are the person who thinks, how can I deal with the problems of my family? I hope I'm not entering into a theological challenge where you feel like because God provides, I can't have an insurance policy. That's again a subject for another day. But the important thing is you are a protector. You must think about, if my child got sick, what would I do? If people are attacked, what can I do? You are the one who makes sure the gate is strong. You are the last one to check whether the door is properly locked. Until the children feel, with the father in, I'm safe. And that's why, if you are not a Christian man, you have a problem with what I'm preaching. Because if you came home drunk, are you a protector or a risk? A risk. Because you come late, we don't know whether you're opening for the thief or the father of the house. So you need to understand. Anyway, I realize each one of these is a subject on its own, and I don't think I have enough time. But I want to concentrate on this idea of man as a priest. And what I'm saying is that we must be men of God who will love our wives as Christ loves the church. Because Christ is our high priest. So since husbands are like Christ, just like the church is like a bride, then what Ephesians is saying, we must come to marriage with the same concept, where we are willing to die for our families. We are sacrificing on behalf of our families. We must be willing to read the word for our families. You know, some of these homes, women are the ones who do the family altar. Am I right? They're the ones who, hey, we haven't prayed. That's not the responsibility of the wife. Of course, if you're not doing it, like a girl called, do you remember the wife of Moses? What was she called? You don't know what the wife of Moses was called? Zipporah. One day, Moses had forgotten to do his priestly duty. He forgot to circumcise his son. And God was so unhappy with him, he was about to kill him. The wife says, I know this is not my job, but I don't want my husband to die. She cut. And Moses did not die. That's not the responsibility of the wife. So every time your wife is taking over the running of the family altar, we congratulate her. But you have a question mark on you. Because as a priest of the family, it is you that thinks about how can we be closer to God? How can my family know God more? You are the one to explain God's word as it relates to your own life and the lives of your family. You are the one to tell them the benefits of committing their lives to the Lord and the importance of having the Holy Spirit indwell you.